First is Forget-Me-Not, a hero that y'all probably don't remember or will forget by the time I'm done. Forget-Me-Not's power actually sucks in the comics as much as it would in real life. His power is being forgotten. No matter what he does, people just won't remember him. People only know of him if they're like looking and interacting right with him, but the minute they turn away, it's like he never existed. It's not hard to see why this might ruin your life. You would never be able to visit a hospital, as doctors would leave the room and forget to come back. You probably wouldn't be able to find a job or get an apartment or find a partner. It would be a disaster. Forget-Me-Not once tried to remove his powers, but realized at the last second that good can still be done even if you aren't remembered for it. And he is stronger than me. I would have gone through with it. Forget-Me-Not isn't the only mutant to experience being forgotten. Mary Zero also has this power, plus imperceptibility. And imperceptibility sounds like a nightmare. People forgetting her kind of sounds like it's being caused by the fact that no one can even perceive her in the first place. The only person in the world as of right now that can see this girl is Agent X. When Agent X talks or acknowledges her, everyone else sees nothing. When Mary's powers manifested, her parents promptly forgot her in a similar fashion to what happened in the final Harry Potter installment with Hermione. Mary ventured out on her own after that for a while, just hoping to find someone that could interact with her. She would live in people's houses with them because she could know that they weren't going to see her there anyway. Mary lost her powers after M-Day, and for her sake, I do hope she did not gain them back. In the world of comic books, everything is possible, and every power is the way it is, often with scientific theory thrown out the window. In comics, making yourself invisible, or for example intangible, is a really cool power. Super useful. If you're invisible, you can spy on your enemies or have the upper hand in a fight or make it from point A to point B easier. If you're intangible, you can walk through walls. You don't need to dodge punches, they just go straight through you. Any weapons would have no effect. And that's all super cool and fun, but also completely realistic. If you're putting the powers in the real world, our eyes work by light bouncing off of objects to our eyes. If everything passes through you, would you not be able to see? I imagine that this problem would be the same for anyone who turns invisible. Plus, with intangibility, you wouldn't be able to hold anything in that state unless you really concentrate and have excellent control over your power. Having the power of knowing everything. Infinite knowledge, also referred to as omniscience. It sounds really cool, but I think it would be insanity inducing. Part of me really does want to know all of human history, I will be honest, but I also only really want to know pieces of it. I don't need to know everything. Having everything in one head would be so overwhelming. Not even just overwhelming, but it would seriously mess with your emotions. If you possess knowledge of everything out there, everything there is, was, and will be, you will probably know of all the forgotten atrocities committed by humans throughout history. You would know all about the good things too, of course. Plus, if you happen to know everything and people were to find out you had this power, I do believe that you would be hounded by people day in and day out with random questions. This is kind of like the stuff with unchecked telepathy. Yeah, I know everything, but it seriously hurts my head. Imagine the headaches. There are a few characters that have infinite knowledge, and Morris Maxwell from the Marvel Universe is a great example of the dark side of it. Morris gained infinite knowledge after participating in the Gathering of Five ritual. After that, he could only communicate if someone asked him a question, and he was only able to call upon the answer by having violent seizures. Plus, and I know this would bother some of y'all, there are lots of history books out there that have incorrect information just because they were written at a time when we didn't have all the facts or something like that, and it would seriously bother me to see incorrect info all over the place. Up next, the ability to turn any thought into a reality. This is another one of those powers that could be really great if they're given to someone with a steel resolve and total control over themselves, something that most humans simply aren't capable of. Imagine you're just having like a passing thought and suddenly reality shifts around you, or you're having a bad day and accidentally wish someone out of existence. You'd have to get really good at self-control and police your thoughts 24/7 just to survive in the day-to-day, and that just sounds exhausting. Imagine if the power also works while you sleep. You'd have a nightmare and suddenly giant spiders are climbing the CN Tower. No thank you. Superman's super hearing sounds like a nightmare. I don't need to hear everything. Am I nosy and love drama? Yes, but I also don't need to hear the cries of anguish anguish from around the world 24/7. Also, are we looking at this like you only have super hearing? Because Superman can do something if he happens to hear a faraway cry. Someone that only possesses super hearing would be plagued with hearing continuous pain and not being able to do anything about it. That just makes the power so much worse. Superman has made it clear that he has to actively kind of like tune out parts of the world so he doesn't descend into madness, but he never fully turns off his super hearing, even though he can, for security reasons. This is explicitly touched on in Superman 2 from 2018. Superman recalls a conversation he had with Green Arrow and shares that, yes, the noise can be a lot, and the way he deals with it is knowing that he isn't the only one in the world that could help people, that there are good people who will assist before Superman could even hit the scene. Flatman is a member of the Great Lakes Avengers, and the name is literal. The guy is as flat as a half-inch board. He is literally the Marvel Universe's Flat Stanley, for anyone who read those books. I hope it's easy to understand why I wouldn't want to be completely flat 24/7. Again, that sounds like a nightmare. Also, I, as myself, have nearly been blown over by strong Toronto winds. I would simply be blown away if I had this power. The power is useful if you need someone to literally slide through the cracks. Flatman isn't just half an inch thick, he can also stretch, so he's kind of like Mr. Fantastic if you drew him from memory. The elasticity thing also helps prevent a lot of injuries, so he has that going for him too, and he does kind of need that fail-safe because if he were severely injured, how would the doctors help him? It would be a real-life game of Operation. Despite all the bonuses, the drawbacks of being literally as flat as a board are too great for me to ever want to gain this power. Also from the Great Lakes Avengers is Big Bertha, or Ashley Crawford. She can transform her body by adding onto her frame and making herself very large. It's unclear exactly how she does it, but presumably it's just like part of her powers. In Great Lakes Avengers 2 from 2017, we see Ashley get angry, and the next second she becomes Big Bertha, so it's clear it's like a willpower instant thing. She gets physically a lot bigger and taller, and because of that, she also gets a lot stronger and more durable. And at this point, you're probably like, this doesn't really sound that bad, so what's the problem? My problem is how Big Bertha has to expel the extra weight she puts on. She has to throw it up. And I imagine that would take a bit of time, so yeah, I do not want this power, and you probably don't either, especially if you have a fear of throwing up. I was getting queasy just writing this point. If you can stomach it though, I guess you're golden with this power. And finally, Immortality. I find that this one can kind of be polarizing. Some people would absolutely be able to handle it. I absolutely couldn't. The thought of living centuries past everything I've known and loved, watching the human race make the same mistakes over and over again and nearly bring themselves to the point of extinction, I would simply go insane. And at that point, what is the point of living forever if you're too insane to enjoy it? Plus, I fear that at a certain point, I would become a purebred nihilist. But also, from like a reader and watcher's point of view, a character or superhero or villain that is immortal and can't be killed just isn't that interesting. The stakes just get significantly lower. But what do you think? Let us know. Bye!